16th, and I'm glad to welcome everyone to this podcast. And today we're actually going to talk about it's August. August is the month for breastfeeding. It's a breastfeeding month, and we are so excited that you're here with us to listen, to learn, to share. August is a National Lactation Month, breastfeeding, chest feeding month. What does that mean? All through the ages, as we all know, humans have always looked for food. And breast milk is the best milk, is the best food for babies. Right now, I understand that there are certain situations, conditions where a mother is separated from the baby, and it's really hard to get that going, that whole relationship of breastfeeding and cuddling and bonding going for the baby and the mother. Instances where, unfortunately, the mother passes away, that can happen. And when that does, thank goodness it doesn't happen on a regular basis, then options, breast milk substitutes can be used as an option. But naturally, and in general, even the United Nations, the World Health Organization and UNICEF have affirmed and given a strong recommendation that breastfeeding is the best way. Breast milk is best. Breast is best. Why? Because that is the natural way that we humans take care of our own. I can't even remember or think of any animal on the planet that will have their baby, and after that, they start looking for another milk from another species to feed their own. It is impossible. I have never seen one. Strange enough, it happens in humans. And I know we have that privilege when the situation is dire and we have no other option. But we also have to look at it critically and know why it is very essential that we feed our babies human milk. There are a lot of benefits that babies and mothers really have and get by having that mutual relationship. The benefits for moms are really numerous. Let's just think about and talk about few of them. For the mother, when a woman is pregnant, as we all know, certain hormonal changes happen in her body. Even her physical being tend to change, tend to expand to actually accommodate the baby, and in some instances, the babies that are growing inside. After the baby or the babies are born, all those physiological pathways will have to go back to their normal position. One of those ones is the uterus. The uterus expands, stretches to accommodate the baby in utero. And after that, it has to go back. So one of the benefits is that as the mother continues to breastfeed her baby, there are contractions that happen. And as the uterus contracts, it squeezes and it goes back to its position. And you see the belly of the mom going back. Some of the hormones that were really out of control during pregnancy, like they should, because they needed to do that to accommodate the growing baby, will have to get back to normal. So if the mom continues to bond with the baby, continues to breastfeed baby or pumps, that whole physiological situation will still have to go back and normalize. So it helps the woman to even manage her weight. It helps her to really go back to her pre-gravid stage. It helps them to manage their blood sugar. It helps them to manage their weight. It really prevents breast cancer. And I want us to know that research has identified a critical but very worrisome type of cancer, breast cancer, that is prevalent in the Black population. And that's why we try to encourage Black women more so to really engage themselves in breastfeeding or pumping to breastfeed their babies. Because you don't want to get that kind of cancer. You don't even want to get cancer at all. So breast cancer prevention, ovarian cancer prevention, those are the benefits for the mother and so much more. And now let's look at the baby's benefits. We have heard that babies who breastfed for 6 months really acquire a lot of immunity against diseases that we know. Some of the diseases of childhood diseases that are like asthma, other infections, bronchitis, pneumonia. It helps to prevent the baby and protect the baby from all these diseases. It also helps the baby to manage the childhood obesity that is rampant in our culture these days. It makes the baby's IQ, intelligent quotient, to go high. Studies have proven that. So we are really stressing that babies should be fed for all these benefits. You want your baby to be smarter in school. You want your baby not to really have all these ear infections and other infections. You want your baby to grow healthy and happy and not be obese. And we know with obesity, other problems follow. Nobody wants that to happen to their babies. Nobody wants that to happen to moms. We want a healthy family. We want a healthy community. We want a healthy nation. That's why we're stressing on having and emphasizing on having moms really engage in breastfeeding. Now, we understand that a lot of mothers want to engage in breastfeeding, but we also know that a lot of women are really struggling, juggling all kinds of responsibilities. And evidence has also shown that about 70% of families in this culture are run by single mothers. So the question is, how do we support a single mom to really engage in breastfeeding, knowing that she has other stuff to do? Plus, this might not be her first baby. Some are having 2, 3, 4, or 5 babies. And each time a baby is born is different. Even breastfeeding mothers will tell you that experiences differ. So what we're trying to ask ourselves, how do we as a community, as a family, as a society, how do we really come together to support our mothers who have that intention to accomplish their breastfeeding goals? This is a challenge for all of us, and we are calling all of us to rethink breastfeeding, especially this day and age when we are all listening to the news. We watch the news also. We watch and we listen to other social media information that are coming out in relation with breast milk and breast milk substitutes. Breast milk substitutes are no longer safe as they used to be. And everybody knows what has happened in the past couple of months about some of these breast milk substitutes. The industries are encountering a lot of challenges. Things that you don't want to find in as breast milk substitutes are finding their ways into the food of babies. That is very alarming. It's very concerning. And that's why we are trying to talk and to emphasize and to raise more awareness on the need for families, for mothers, for women to think critically about breastfeeding their babies. Yes, I know that some women may not get the opportunity even at work, because once they have the babies, few weeks, they're back to work. Only less than 1% of the American women receive the maternal off that we give them, or that they're provided by their employers to have that time to be with their babies. The rest of the people have to run because they need to make both ends meet for themselves and for the babies. So now what we're also encouraging is, how do we support them with breast pump so that women can actually find a specific place, designated place at work to pump? And will employers provide the atmosphere that is conducive for a mother to take about half an hour, 45 minutes break in between work to go breastfeed if she can? But we know it's practically impossible. But can she be allowed to go and pump and save the milk for her baby? This is very important, because when we say, oh yeah, breastfeeding is critical, we have to also consider other circumstances that will support breastfeeding. A mother who is a government employee will have to think through a whole lot. Some places of work these days do not provide the space that mothers need. Unfortunately, some of them have to go to the bathroom to pump milk. Who eats in the bathroom? Nobody. So why do we expect our moms to use the bathroom to prepare food for their babies? That's unheard of. But that is the reality that some of them face right now. And that is very discouraging as well. So we want to really point out some of the circumstances that are not favorable to mothers to continue to accomplish their breastfeeding goals. And we are pleading with employers to consider, even when you are trying to recruit them, to know that this is a need. It is a family need, it's a societal need, it is also a global need. Because we know that a baby that is well breastfed, even if it means the minimum of 3 months, it is a lot for that baby. It goes a long way, and it sustains them for the rest of their life. And so we're encouraging mothers, we're encouraging fathers, we're encouraging families, we're encouraging grandma and grandpas to really help us support women, support their children, support their grandchildren, to engage in breastfeeding. See how you can support them in any way possible, because they cannot do it alone. Nobody does it alone. It takes a village to actually succeed in breastfeeding and in raising a baby. It takes a village. And it is the best way to support that everybody, all hands on deck. We want to do that for the good of the family, for the good of the society, and for the global world. Because if we are looking to make our world a better place, we need to sit down and ask ourselves, what are the critical things that are really elements that are missing right now in our society. And breastfeeding is a critical need because some of the women who are having babies now never even breastfed. Their moms never had time for them. And the thing is, if you start talking to them, it's like, where will I learn it? How will I even know when nobody talked about it in my family? Nobody showed me how. And even some of them will say, when I even bring up the topic, it's like nobody's positive about it. And it's very discouraging for the young women because they're beginning to recognize the benefits for breastfeeding, both for themselves, of breastfeeding, both for themselves and for their babies. But they need support. So we're asking everyone who is interested in supporting mothers, in supporting women, in working with women, that let us all put hands together to support them, to keep talking about it. Because the more we talk about the need for breastfeeding, the more people will be engaged in it. They ask questions, and we want them to do that because it is very critical that whatever you don't understand about that whole thing of pregnancy, childbirth, breastfeeding, postpartum, that you ask questions, ask those that you feel have the answers. And if they don't have the answers, they're going to actually find answers for you. We need to talk about it. And this is the month of August is the month that everyone is supposed to be talking about breastfeeding because it's very critical for all of us. And this month, a lot of activities are going on all over the city where we are, all over the country in few places that I know. And all they're doing is raising awareness of the need for breastfeeding. Now, there isn't anything that anybody that I know of that really is contradictory to breastfeeding. Because guess what? That is the natural way. And those who have really gone through it will tell you, you know, it was not easy. And I have to, as a midwife, I have to tell you that it is not an easy thing, just like pregnancy. But people still go through it for the benefit of it. And so women will tell you who have gone through it, it's not easy, but they say it is possible. And we know it's possible. And the only way we can make it even more possible and easier is by supporting women, supporting all these girls we're talking about who are beginning to recognize the benefits of breast milk, the benefit of breastfeeding, the benefit of bonding with their babies, especially those critical weeks after birthing. Because not only that they are bonding with babies, they are also having a good time where they try to recuperate from that whole 9 months and sometimes 10 months of carrying the baby and all that discomfort that go with it. But the good news is breastfeeding is the best way to feed your baby. Breastfeeding is possible. It might not be easy, just like every other thing, but it is possible. And we want whoever that is interested in doing this and engaging in this, I will applaud you and I will say, please reach out. Reach out to people who can help you. I am one of them. My organization, Zita's Healthy Beginnings, the reason we're established is to make sure that we support women and we support children. So we can help you on this journey. We can journey with you. We can provide you with all the resources you need to make sure that you achieve your breastfeeding goals. Because we recognize the need, both for you and for your family and for the rest of us. We cannot emphasize enough about the benefits of breastfeeding and what that does for us. Look at the rate of inflation right now in our country. There are a lot of stuff that we cannot afford anymore that people used to, afford a few years ago. With COVID and other stuff going on, people are now lagging in fact, essential needs for family. Food is now essential commodity. And we know we cannot survive without food. Nobody does. And so we want all of us to journey together, put heads together, work as a team, as a global team, as a community team, as a family team, to support ourselves, support one another. Open communication is key. Talk about it wherever you are. Talk about it with your friends. Talk about it with your family. Talk about it with your peers. Talk about things that are uncomfortable. Also talk about things that are beneficial. And we want to hear back from you. If you are really interested in knowing a whole lot about breastfeeding and other cares about mothers, pregnancy, childbirth, and postpartum, connect with us. You have our website, you have our email address, you have our phone number. Our doors are open to solve, to answer some of the questions you have. And if we cannot answer them, we are sure to connect you to people who can provide answers to your questions. I'm wondering if anybody has any question for me at this point. I hope that I have really inspired you to really rethink breast milk, think breast milk, think life. Because nobody survives without the natural food. And breast milk, as everybody knows, is the natural food for babies, and a healthy one for that matter. Thank you all for tuning in. And please, if you have any questions for me, like I said, you know how to reach me. I'm going to open it up and see if anyone has any comments, any questions. Please, you can unmute yourself and ask your questions or make a comment. So we are seeing that no comments are coming through and there are no questions. I'm taking it that people are taking in the information. If you're also watching the YouTube and feel like you want to connect with us, feel free to do that. And in the absence of any questions, I would like to wrap this up. And next week, we are going to have a wonderful presenter who will be talking to us a whole lot about the importance of living life to the fullest. And come join us next week, Tuesday, and you will really be happy that you did. So it's next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We're here, we will be live, and we'll be ready to have you as our audience. And I want to thank you once again for tuning in. I also want to thank our producers, Emily, Card, and the others, and the Ability Podcast, and the Transform You Network, and PAC. They always are very generous to us to let our audience connect with us through this means. So we are very happy for the opportunity. Thank you all so much and have a wonderful evening.
I think it's important to support mothers and women and breastfeeding.
Yes, absolutely. Support is important. It's needed, especially this day and age. When you think about it, all women need is nothing but support because they can't do it alone. Yeah. Thank you, Emily, for that comment. All right, so we're going to bring it to a close. Thank you all for coming and have a wonderful evening. Bye, everyone.